The whiskey glass shattered against the wall 3 inches from Rex Maddox's head. Every conversation in the Silver Dollar Saloon died. The piano player's fingers froze mid-chord. 20 pairs of eyes swiveled between the outlaw standing near the bar and the barmaid, who'd just thrown her best aim at his skull. Lily Carson wiped her hands on her apron, chest heaving. "Get out." Rex didn't flinch. He never did. That was the problem with men like him. They wore danger like a second skin, comfortable in it, fed by it. He brushed a shard of glass from his shoulder and smiled that slow, predatory smile that had terrorized Montana territory for 5 years. "Now, Lily, that's no way to greet the father of your boy." The words hung in the tobacco-thick air like a noose. Lily's son, Tommy, was upstairs, 4 years old, asleep in the tiny room she rented above the saloon, probably dreaming of the wooden horse Sheriff Hayes had carved him last week. "Safe. For now. You're not his father." Her voice came out steady, which surprised her. Her hands were shaking so hard she had to grip the bar. "You've never been anything but a plague on this town." Rex took a step forward. The floorboards creaked under his boots. "Funny thing about plagues, darling. They don't need permission to spread." Behind him, his men laughed. 3 of them tonight. Cobb, the one with the scar. Dutch, who'd killed a man in Billings over a card game. And the young one, barely 20, whose name Lily never bothered learning because boys like that didn't live long in Rex's shadow. "I'm taking what's mine," Rex continued. "The boy comes with me tonight. You can make this easy, or you can make it memorable. Either way works for me." Lily's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd known this day would come, had felt it building like storm clouds on the horizon ever since Rex rode back into town 3 days ago. But knowing and living through it were different animals entirely. "Touch my son, and I'll kill you myself." The threat should have sounded ridiculous coming from a woman holding nothing but a bar rag. But something in Lily's eyes made Rex's smile falter. "Just for a second. Just enough. You've got fire." He moved closer, boots thudding against wood. "Always like that about you. But fire burns out, Lily. And you're standing alone." "No, she's not." The voice came from the saloon doors. Sheriff Tom Hayes stood in the threshold, one hand resting on his gun belt. Not on his pistol. Not yet. But the threat was clear enough. The entire room held its breath. Tom Hayes had been sheriff for 6 years. In that time, he'd arrested exactly 3 people. 2 drunks and 1 cattle rustler, so incompetent he'd fallen asleep in the barn with the stolen cow. When Rex Maddox rode through town, Tom found reasons to be elsewhere. Paperwork. Rounds. Sudden urgent business in the next county over. Everyone knew it. "Tom, most of all, this doesn't concern you, Sheriff." Rex didn't bother turning around. "This is between me and the lady. Funny thing about my job." Tom stepped inside, letting the doors swing shut behind him. "Everything in this town concerns me, especially when a man makes threats against a woman and child under my protection." Lily stared. She'd served Tom Hayes whiskey for 3 years. Had watched him nurse the same glass for hours, shoulders hunched like he was trying to disappear into his own coat. She'd heard the names people called him when they thought she wasn't listening. Coward. Gutless. The sheriff who looked the other way. Now he was standing between her and certain death, and his hand wasn't shaking at all. Rex finally turned. "Your protection? That's rich coming from a man who couldn't protect his own. Reputation. My reputation can rot." Tom's voice was quiet. Steady. "But Lily and her boy won't." The tension in the room pulled taut as wire. Lily could feel violence gathering in the air like electricity before lightning strikes. She knew what happened next in stories like these. The good man drew. The bad man was faster. Blood on sawdust floors. Another grave on the hill. She couldn't let that happen. "Wait." Lily stepped around the bar, putting herself between both men. Stupid, maybe. But Tommy was upstairs, and she'd be damned if she'd let anyone else die for her tonight. "Rex, you want to claim my son? Fine. Let's settle this proper." Rex raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." "Town meeting. Tomorrow. Noon." Her mind raced, building the plan as she spoke. "You make your case. I make mine. Let the people of Ridgeway decide who Tommy belongs with." "The people of Ridgeway are sheep." Rex laughed, but there was calculation behind it. "Why would I care what they think?" "Because you do care." Lily took a step closer. Close enough to smell gun oil and leather. Close enough to see the flicker of something human behind those cold eyes. "You rode back here for a reason. Not just for Tommy. You want this town to acknowledge you. To see you as something more than a thief in the night. Direct hit. She saw it in the way his jaw tightened. One meeting, she pressed. Public square. You win, you take Tommy, and I won't fight. But if I win, you ride out and never come back. Your word against mine. In front of everyone. Rex studied her face, looking for the trap, the trick. But Lily wasn't clever enough for tricks. She was desperate enough for truth, and that was something else entirely. Done. He held out his hand. She didn't take it. Your word means nothing to me. But tomorrow, in front of the whole town, it'll mean something to them. She turned to Tom. Sheriff Hayes will guarantee safe conduct. For both of us. Tom nodded slowly. His hand finally left his gun belt. Meetings at noon. My deputy will be there. So will I? Anyone draws iron. They answer to the law. The law. Rex smiled that dangerous smile again. Right. We'll see what that's worth. He headed for the doors, his men falling in behind him. But at the threshold, he paused. Look back at Lily one last time. You should know something, darling. I always win these things. Always. Then he was gone, swallowed by the Montana night. The saloon exploded into conversation. Lily's knees gave out. She caught herself on the bar, breathing hard, trying to remember how her lungs worked. Tom was beside her in 2 strides. You all right? No. Honest. Too tired for anything else. But I've got until noon tomorrow to figure out how to be. That was brave. And stupid. Those usually go together. She looked up at him. Really looked. Saw the same fear she felt reflected in his eyes. But something else too. Something that hadn't been there before. Why did you do that? Stand up for me. You've never had a reason worth dying for. Tom's hand found hers on the bar. Warm. Steady. Guess I finally found one. The words hit her harder than any whiskey. Before she could respond, footsteps thundered down the stairs. Tommy appeared, rubbing sleep from his eyes, his wooden horse clutched in one hand. Mama? I heard yelling. Lily swept him up, held him close enough to feel his heartbeat against hers. Just some men being loud, baby. Nothing to worry about. The lie tasted like ash. But what else could she say? Tomorrow a man who might be his father would try to take him away, and she had nothing but words and hope to stop it. Tommy yawned against her shoulder. Sheriff Hayes, did you bring me more carrots for Thunder? Thunder was the wooden horse. Tommy had named it himself. Tom crouched down to the boy's eye level. Tell you what, partner. Tomorrow after lunch, we'll get Thunder a whole bag of imaginary carrots. The fancy kind from the pretend store. The one on the moon. That's the one. Tommy giggled. The sound was so pure, so untouched by the ugliness waiting outside, that Lily wanted to freeze this moment forever. Lock it away somewhere Rex Maddox could never reach. She carried Tommy back upstairs. Tucked him in. Sang the song her mother had sung to her, about mockingbirds and diamond rings. When his breathing evened out, she stayed there in the dark, watching his small chest rise and fall. Tom was waiting in the hallway when she emerged. You can't let him take Tommy, she whispered. I'll do anything. Say anything. But I can't lose my son. You won't. Tom's certainty should have been comforting. Instead, it terrified her. Certainty in the face of Rex Maddox was just another word for suicide. But Lily, you need to tell me the truth. Is there any chance Rex is Tommy's father? The question she'd been dreading. No. The word came out fierce. Final. Tommy's father was a ranch hand named Daniel Shaw. Good man. Gentle. He died of fever 2 months before Tommy was born. Rex showed up in town a year after that. The timeline doesn't even work. Then why does he think? Because 5 years ago, Rex decided I was his property. Lily's voice went flat. Emotionless. It was the only way to tell this story. He'd come into the saloon, make his claims. Tell anyone who'd listen that we had history. That I was carrying his child. The more I denied it, the more he insisted. It became his truth. And in a town afraid of crossing him, nobody questioned it. Tom's jaw worked. Did he ever touch me? Lily finished. He tried. Once. I broke his nose with a whiskey bottle. He left me alone after that. But the rumors stayed. The story he'd built. And now he's back to claim what he thinks he's owed. That's not how this works. That's exactly how it works when nobody stops him. She met Tom's eyes. Why now? Why are you finally standing up? Tom was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 6 years of shame. You remember the day I became sheriff? Judge Carver appointed me himself. Said I was the right man for the job. I remember. What you don't know is why. 3 days before that, I was ranching 20 miles north. Came into town for supplies. Rex and his crew were here. They'd just robbed the stage. Killed the driver. Judge Carver watched them ride out and did nothing. So did I. Lily waited. That night, Judge Carver offered me the badge. Said the town needed a sheriff who understood how things really worked. Who knew when to look and when to turn away. I took it. Tom's hands curled into fists. I took it because I was tired of eating dust. Tired of breaking my back for pennies. Thought being sheriff meant something. Turns out it just meant wearing a different kind of chain. What changed? This afternoon, I was at the general store. Saw Tommy looking at penny candy through the window. He couldn't afford it, so he just watched, pressing his nose against the glass. And I thought about my own boy. Lily's breath caught. You have a son? Had. Back in Kansas. Wife too. Cholera took them both 9 years ago. Pain flickered across Tom's face. Raw. Ancient. I ran after that. Kept running until I ended up here, hiding behind a badge that didn't mean anything. But watching Tommy today, I remembered what it felt like to want to be someone worth looking up to. Someone my boy could be proud of. He looked at her directly. I can't save my family, but maybe I can save yours. If you'll let me. The words were a rope thrown across a chasm. Lily grabbed hold. I'll let you. But Tom, you need to understand. If this goes wrong tomorrow, Rex won't just kill us. He'll burn this town to the ground. He's done it before. Over less. I know. Tom's hand found his gun again. Not afraid. Just acknowledging the weight of what was coming. But some things are worth burning for. They stood there in the dim hallway. Two broken people holding the last line between hope and darkness. Tomorrow would test them both. Lily knew that. But tonight, for the first time in 5 years, she wasn't facing Rex Maddox alone. That had to count for something. Morning came too fast and too slow at once. Lily dressed Tommy in his Sunday clothes. The ones that were getting too small, but still had another month's worth of wear. She made him breakfast. Eggs. Toast. The strawberry jam he loved. Normal things to hold back the tide of everything wrong. Mama, why are you sad? Children saw too much. Always had. Just thinking, baby. About what? About how much I love you. Truth. The easiest one she'd ever told. And how lucky I am to be your mama. Tommy smiled, jam on his face. I'm lucky too. You're the best mama ever. The words cracked something open in her chest. She pulled him close, breathed in the smell of his hair. Soap and little boy sweat and innocence that shouldn't have to know about men like Rex Maddox. Whatever happens today, she whispered, I need you to remember something. You are good. You are loved. And you are mine. Nobody can take that away. Ever. Tommy hugged her tighter. I know, Mama. At 12:45, Tom came to walk them to the square. He'd cleaned his gun, polished his badge, looked like a sheriff from one of those dime novels, except his eyes carried the weight of too many real stories. Ready? He asked. No. Lily took Tommy's hand. But we're going anyway. The town square was packed. Every soul in Ridgeway had turned out. Farmers, shopkeepers, the banker, the preacher, old Mrs. Henderson who never left her house. They stood in a rough circle, leaving a clear space in the center. Rex waited there. So did his men. Cobb, Dutch, the young one, plus 4 others Lily didn't recognize. 7 against a town of scared people and one sheriff who'd just remembered how to care. The odds weren't good. Judge Carver stood on the steps of the courthouse, looking uncomfortable. He was the one who'd helped Rex build his power here. Everyone knew it. But today he had to play impartial. Today he had to pretend the law mattered. We're here to settle a dispute, the judge announced. His voice carried across the square. Rex Maddox claims the boy, Tommy Carson, as his son. Lily Carson disputes this claim. Both parties have agreed to let the town decide. Mr. Maddox, make your case. Rex stepped forward. He'd cleaned up too. New clothes. Shaved. Playing the part of the respectable man. It made Lily's stomach turn. I'll keep this simple, Rex began. 5 years ago, Lily and I had an understanding. A relationship. When she found herself with child, I offered to do right by her. She refused. Pride, maybe. Fear. I don't know. I let it go. Gave her space. But I've thought about that boy every day since. He's mine. My blood. And I've come to claim what's rightfully mine and give him the life he deserves. You're a liar. Lily's voice rang out before the judge could respond. We had no relationship. You harassed me. Threatened me. Built a story that suited you and expected everyone to believe it because they were too scared to question you. You broke my nose, Rex countered smoothly. That's true. But lovers fight. It happens. I broke your nose because you tried to force yourself on me. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. People shifted. Uncomfortable. Uncertain. Mrs. Carson, Judge Carver interrupted. Do you have proof of your claim about the boy's parentage? His father was Daniel Shaw. You knew him, Judge. He worked at the Mackenzie Ranch. Died of fever in the spring of 1877. I remember Daniel. The judge looked genuinely sad. Good man. But memory isn't proof. Can anyone verify the relationship? Silence. Daniel had been quiet. Private. They'd kept their relationship hidden because he was saving money, planning to build them a home before he asked for her hand proper. Then the fever came and took him, and took all the proof with him. Nobody? Judge Carver pressed. I can. Tom stepped forward. Daniel came to me a week before he died. Asked me to look after Lily if anything happened to him. Told me about the baby. About his plans. I've got his letter. He wrote it out formal. Left it with me for safekeeping. Lily's head snapped toward Tom. She'd never known. Never even suspected. Tom pulled a folded paper from his vest. Worn. Yellowed. But there. Real. He handed it to the judge. Carver read it slowly. His expression shifted. This is Daniel Shaw's hand. I recognize it. He's named as the father. Clear as day. Letters can be forged, Rex said. Tension creeping into his voice now. Sheriff Hayes has had 6 years to create that. Or I've had 6 years to honor a dying man's request. Tom's voice was steel. You want to call me a liar, Rex? Do it plain. The challenge hung there. Dangerous. Clear to Rex's hand drifted toward his gun. But he caught himself. Looked around at the crowd. At the people watching. Judging. He'd wanted legitimacy. Wanted recognition. Drawing on a sheriff in front of the whole town would destroy that. This proves nothing, Rex said instead. The boy could still be mine. Lily was available. Everyone knows it. Watch your mouth. Tom's warning was quiet. Deadly, but the damage was done. Lily felt the weight of those words. The accusation. The shame he was trying to drape over her like a blanket she couldn't throw off. You want to know why I hate you? Lily stepped forward, voice shaking with rage, with years of silence breaking free. It's not because you're an outlaw. It's because you're a coward. A real man doesn't need to claim other people's children. Doesn't need to build power through fear. Doesn't need to destroy a woman's reputation because she dared to say no. Big words from a saloon girl. Yes, I work in a saloon. I serve drinks to men who look through me, who think they own me because I smile and pour whiskey. But I am not owned. Tommy is not owned. And you standing here, trying to take him because you think you can, proves exactly the kind of man you are. The crowd murmured. Louder now. People nodding. Mrs. Henderson spoke up from the back. She's right. Rex Maddox has terrorized this town for 5 years. Why are we listening to him? Because he'll kill us if we don't, someone shouted back. So we just give him the boy? Another voice called. Where does it end? The crowd was fracturing. Fear against conscience. Self-preservation against doing right. Lily could feel it tipping. But which way? Then Tom did something Lily would remember for the rest of her life. He unbuckled his gun belt, set it on the ground, stood there, unarmed, in front of Rex Maddox and his 7 armed men. Here's how this ends, Tom said, loud enough for everyone to hear. We stop being afraid. We stop letting men like Rex decide what's right based on how many guns they carry. Lily has proven Tommy's not his son. The boy stays with his mother. And if Rex has a problem with that, he'll have to go through me. And then through every person in this town who's tired of living in fear. Silence. Then old Joe Harper, the blacksmith, stepped forward. Stood next to Tom. Unarmed, 2 misses. Henderson came next. Then the baker. The banker. The preacher. One by one, people stepped into the center of the square, forming a wall between Lily, Tommy, and Rex's guns. 30 people. 40. More, not all of them. Some held back. Fear was real. Bullets were real. But enough stepped forward. Enough said no. Rex looked at his men. At the crowd. At Tom standing there, calm as Sunday. This isn't over, Rex said. Yeah. Tom picked up his gun belt. Buckled it on slow. Deliberate. It is. You can draw if you want. But you'll be gunning down unarmed shopkeepers and farmers. That the reputation you want? That the legacy you're building? Rex's jaw worked. fury and calculation warring behind his eyes. He'd been outmaneuvered, not by force, by something he couldn't fight: community, courage, people finally saying enough. "You think you've won," Rex said quietly, dangerously. "But I don't forget. And I don't forgive." "Neither do I." Tom's hand rested on his gun, still not drawing, but ready. "So here's what happens next. You and your men ride out today, and you don't come back. Ever. That's the deal. And if I refuse? Then we find out if this town is finally ready to stand up. All the way, my guess." Tom looked around at the faces, at the people who'd stepped forward. "They are." Rex stared at Tom for a long, tense moment. Then at Lily. Then at Tommy, who'd been silent through all of this, clutching his wooden horse and his mother's hand. Finally, Rex smiled. Not the predatory smile. Something colder. More honest. "You've got sand, Sheriff. I'll give you that." He backed toward his horse. His men followed, confused but obedient. "But sand runs out. Remember that." He swung into the saddle. "This town's going to burn one day. And when it does, I'll ride back through to watch the ashes." Then he was gone. Thunder of hooves. Dust rising. 7 men becoming distant shadows on the Montana plain. Lily didn't realize she was crying until Tommy looked up at her, worried. "Mama? Are you okay?" "Yes, baby." She knelt down, held him tight. "Yes, we're okay." Tom crouched beside them both. Put a hand on Lily's shoulder. "Solid. Real. It's over. For now." Lily looked toward the horizon where Rex had vanished. "He'll come back. Maybe." Tom helped her stand. "But next time, we'll be ready. And next time, he'll know this town isn't his anymore." Judge Carver cleared his throat, uncomfortable with how this had played out, with his own role in years of cowardice. "The matter is settled. The boy remains with his mother." Meeting adjourned. People began to disperse. Some stopped to touch Lily's arm, to murmur words of support. Others hurried away, still scared, still doubting. Mrs. Henderson lingered. "You've got courage, girl. More than most of us." "I've got a son. That's different." "No." The old woman smiled. "That's everything." As the square emptied, Lily stood there with Tommy and Tom. 3 people against the world, but together. Finally. "Thank you," Lily said. "For the letter. For standing up. For being the man I should have been 6 years ago." Tom finished. He looked tired, relieved. "Reborn. I owe you thanks too. You reminded me what matters." "What happens now?" "Now." Tom looked at Tommy. "Now we get thunder those fancy moon carrots. I made a promise." Tommy's face lit up. "Really? Really? But first." Tom looked at Lily. "First, I'm going to do something I should have done a long time ago. I'm going to start being a real sheriff. For this town. For people who need protecting. And if you'll let me, for you and your boy." The words carried weight. Promise. Future. Possibility. Lily thought about the years ahead. Rex's shadow would linger. Fear didn't vanish overnight. But today, they'd won something more important than safety. That they'd won the right to try. "I'd like that," Lily said softly. "Tommy could use a good man around. Someone to show him what strength really looks like." Tom smiled. First genuine one she'd ever seen from him. "Then let's get started." They walked toward the general store together. A barmaid, a sheriff, and a boy with a wooden horse. 3 ordinary people who'd just discovered they could be extraordinary when it counted. Above them, Montana sky stretched endless and blue. Open. Free. Full of tomorrow. And for the first time in 5 years, tomorrow felt like something worth reaching for.